That was excellent. Good morning, everyone. I want to first thank Principal Laura Rosenbach for hosting this morning's event. Thank you and your team, Ms. Rosenbach. And I also believe we have a few CMS board members. I did see Dr. Ruby Jones, who represents District 3. Do we have any other board members here? Okay, wonderful. I just wanted to be sure to acknowledge them. It is indeed an honor to be here with you all today and introduce the 22nd Annual Student Dialogue for the ECHO Foundation. We are fortunate to have a very strong partnership with the ECHO Foundation, which, as you know, is based here in Charlotte. The foundation seeks to educate us and expose us to humanitarians who will inspire us and galvanize us to action. We appreciate the foundation and its dedicated people who work to bring humanitarians from all over the world here to Charlotte, Mecklenburg. It is my privilege to introduce one of those humanitarians who is today's speaker, and he will actually come a little bit later. Dr. Denis Mukwege has truly seen hell, the hell of war and the savage sexual violence it can trigger. He has dedicated his life to helping the women in the Democratic Republic of Congo, women who have been raped, abused, mutilated, and left for dead by militias. He also treats women who have suffered serious injury after giving birth in wartime conditions with no medical care available. This, to be very clear, is very painful and hard work. It would wear down a lesser man. But Dr. Mukwege remains hopeful. He goes to work every day helping and healing the victims of wartime savagery and neglect. His patients gain hope too. The hope and the determination to rebuild their lives. Their courage and Dr. Mukwege's courage is humbling and inspiring. To see such hellish actions and the suffering they cause, yet continue to believe that good can triumph over evil if we work to make it so. This is the kind of rare courage that fills the soul as well as the heart. Dr. Mukwege is working for the benefit of all of humanity. In 2018, he was named a Nobel Peace Prize laureate for his outstanding work. Today, he is going to talk to us about peace, about justice, and I want you all to, in a few moments, help give Dr. Mukwege a warm, Huff welcome. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Mr. Winston. Good morning, and thank you for being here today. My name is David Farley, and I'm one of the assistant principals here at Huff High School. On behalf of everyone here at Huff and Principal Dr. Laura Rosenbach, we welcome you to ECHO Foundation's Student Dialogue, Justice is Not Negotiable, with Dr. Mukwege. Each year, hundreds of students from across the region have the unique opportunity to interact with ECHO's humanitarian guest. This year, over 600 students representing 19 schools have come here to Huff to engage in a dialogue with Dr. Mukwege, 2018 Nobel Peace Prize laureate. I would like to thank ECHO Foundation's Stephanie Ansaldo and the Work for Her Board for bringing great humanitarians that inspire learning among our students. Thank you to the teachers and students for being here and sharing their time. I ask that you listen, learn, and take this opportunity to ask your thoughtful and informed questions to Dr. Mukwege. Thank you, and at this time, I'll turn it over to Stephanie Ansaldo.
Wow, a full auditorium. Good morning. I'm Stephanie Ansaldo, president of the ECHO Foundation, and it's my pleasure to welcome you and to see you all here today for this very, very special occasion. It was in 1997, before many of you were born, when I was a therapist at a high school, and Elie Wiesel, the Nobel laureate, Peace Prize winner who wrote the book Night, was my guest in Charlotte. He was so impressed with the students, with the grown-ups that he met. He said to me, "Stephanie, you can't stop now. You must do more, and I will help you. I've never seen a community like this community embracing the issues of human dignity, justice, and moral courage. You must do more." How could you say no to Elie Wiesel? I've tried to do more, and as I look out here, I see that ECHO is the right name for our organization. You are the echoes. You are the future. For 22 years now, we've created programs around world-renowned humanitarians who have taken personal responsibility for humanity, who have set aside their own needs, their own pleasure, their own desires, and have done what is in their heart for the benefit of others. Many students who have sat in the seats that you're in today are now out in the world working in Uganda, in Bosnia, in Russia, in Haiti, all over the world, because they too are not indifferent to the suffering of humankind. We're so grateful to your teachers. All of the teachers here today have a whole lot of work to do, just being teachers, teaching their subject matter. They didn't have to sign up for this, but they saw it as a really unique and marvelous opportunity for you. And so, in the spirit of generosity and the belief in education and their commitment to you, they added coming here, arranging for buses, arranging for substitutes, teaching you all. They added all that to their plate. And I would like you, students, to join me in thanking your students, your teachers. As you have noticed, studying the curriculum, which was created, by the way, by 4 students, 2 high school students who are with us today, and 2 college students at the ECHO office this past summer. You'll hear more about that later, but they arrived not knowing what the assignment was going to be. For 10 weeks, 30 hours every week, they worked without pay to create a tool for learning that is absolutely fantastic. It's so amazing that Dr. Mukwege himself, upon seeing it, has said, "I am going to share this all over the world, wherever I go, so that students and adults know my work, understand what we do, increase their compassion, and take action on behalf of those who are suffering and need us so much." So I congratulate those 4 students, and I invite all of you to apply to be summer interns this coming summer. The topic is a very difficult one, and Superintendent Winston detailed it quite vividly, I believe. Because of that, wanting to be sensitive to everyone in the room here today, we have invited 7 therapists who are trauma therapists to join us in the auditorium. If during the discussion anyone, for any reason, feels the need to leave the room or to speak with a therapist, please know that they are wearing a red rose, and you can just get out of your seat and go to the back of the auditorium and they will find you. So don't hesitate if the topic is a trigger for you. The way we're going to run the student dialogue is very simple. There are 2 microphones, 1 in each aisle. After Dr. Mukwege speaks for about 10 to 15 minutes, we're going to invite students to come to the microphone and ask questions. The 12 student ambassadors from ECHO will ask the first questions. So I will say that when Dr. Mukwege and I are seated here, I'll invite the student ambassadors, and when their questions are complete, I will ask any student who wishes to come to the microphone. I ask that no more than 10 students stand in line at each microphone because you'll obstruct the view of the people who are in the auditorium. I hope everyone will get their chance. If you don't, send me your questions via email, and I'll extend them to Dr. Mukwege, and we'll see if we can't get your answer in writing. So my last assignment is to remind you about the art and writing contest, photography and 2-dimensional art, and writing in prose and poetry. We have our winners with us here today, and to present the awards are 2 gentlemen, Tom Jackson and Dr. Yeli Aluko from Ernst & Young, better known as EY, our sponsors today. We're so grateful that this company has the vision to understand the magnitude of what we are doing here today. We thank them warmly, and they will have the pleasure of awarding our prizes. Thank you so much for being here.
Good morning. My name is Dr. Yele Aluko, and I am the Chief Medical Officer at Ernst & Young, EY, in our America's Healthcare Practice. At EY, our mission is to build a better working world. That is the credo by which we live. And we are aligned with ECHO Foundation's mission in support of intolerance, moral courage, and the avoidance of injustice, in support of understanding the power of what one person can do to change the world. It is for that reason that my partner, Tom Jackson, and I, on behalf of the 7,000 healthcare consultants across the world that strive every day to work to build a better working world in support of the causes that the man, Dr. Denis Mukwege, stands for, we are proud today to be the sponsor of the 22nd ECHO Annual Student Dialogue. My partner, Tom Jackson, is here with me today to present the prizes to the winners in the 3 categories in art, poetry, and essay writing.
Thank you, Yele. On behalf of EY, very grateful to be here, very honored, and would love to have the award winners come to the stage now. Before we announce the winners, just want to thank all of those that participated in the contest. Without further ado, the art contest winners. First place, unfortunately unable to be here, is Raven Shirley. Second place is Kim Quach. Okay. Third place, Isabel Pozo. For the essay contest winners, first place, Sonia Eason. Second place and unable to attend is Christian Zapley. And the third prize for the essay contest is Lane Gibson. And lastly, our poetry contest winners. In first place, Olivia Johnson. Second place is Carson Mask. Again, thank you to all those who participated, and EY is grateful for our partnership with VATCO Foundation.
Thank you.
Hey, my name is Jack Greer, and I'm a junior here at Huff High School. Before I make any kind of introduction, I would first like to thank Mrs. Stephanie Ansaldo, Mrs. Stacy Shonslin, and those at the ECHO Foundation for giving me the incredible opportunity to be able to become a Footsteps ambassador. These wonderful people have given me a profound, once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to study the curriculum of Dr. Denis Mukwege and expand my perspective by traveling to Europe this upcoming summer. For that, I am deeply appreciative and in great debt to them. I am extremely honored to be in the presence of a man who cares so genuinely and deeply for the physical and mental well-being of those around him. A peacekeeper, family man, role model, activist, man of God, and a winner of a number of prestigious awards and prizes for his efforts in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, Dr. Denis Mukwege, to me, stands as the epitome of humanitarianism, fighting injustice wherever he finds it, and even in its most cruel and oppressing forms. He serves to me as an inspiration, and he serves as an inspiration to so many others to make our mark in the world. And because of this, I am honored that he has come all the way from the DRC to speak to us today. His work not only saves but changes the lives of those that he takes care of forever. As the world's leading specialist for the treatment of wartime sexual violence, and as a significant leader in the fight against rape as a weapon of war, his work has had far-reaching impressions, touching and inspiring the lives of those around the world who hear of his work and listen to his message. Dr. Mukwege's extent of international influence did not appear from nowhere, though. Rather, it started from home in the war-torn Democratic Republic of the Congo, where a battle over what is known as conflict minerals such as gold ore and wolframite have led cruel and dominating militiamen into heinous crimes of sexual violence, mainly against women and children. After seeing this rampant usage of horrendous crimes as a tactic of war, he decided that enough was enough. He believed that justice was not negotiable and that a change immediately had to be instituted before this crisis in his homeland became any worse. As a result of his intense belief in his cause and his strong-willed determination to right the wrongs of the world, Dr. Mukwege has managed to take enormous strides in the fight against rape as a tool of war. Most notably is his founding of the Pansy Hospital, which mainly treats survivors of sexual violence, and his monumental efforts into the City of Joy, a home and safe place for these survivors where they can have a voice against injustice and lead others like themselves into a more empowering future. Not long ago, when I participated in Humanities Day, the president of the Congolese community of Charlotte said, "We are all the next Mukwege." I plan on listening to what Dr. Mukwege has to say when he comes on stage, and I highly recommend that y'all do the same. He is the type of person I aspire to model myself after in the future. His resolve, passion, and open-hearted kindness demonstrates to me that I too could be able to carry myself in the same way. I hope that one day I shape my actions after him and follow his example into a brighter, better future for everyone. Thank you all for listening, and it is a great honor that I introduce Nobel Peace Prize laureate Dr. Denis Mukwege.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, dear teachers and administrators, dear students, thank you very much for your warm welcome. I'm happy to be in Charlotte. This is my first time visit here. I want to thank Madame Stephanie and the ECHO Foundation for all the work you have done to prepare for my visit. It's truly impressive. Dear students, I'm honored to stand before you. I'm always particularly pleased to meet with students, to see your eyes shine, your faces lit with a willingness to learn. And I believe that a good education is key to understanding the world. When I received the invitation of ECHO Foundation a few months ago, and I learned about your work, I was pleased to see that we had shared values. Yes, we are far apart, but we are on the same mission, fighting for social justice, fighting against indifference, and instilling hope through education and service to others. Looking at you, I feel hope. Indeed, based on the ECHO Foundation initiative, Voices Against Indifference, I can't think of a better initiative to fight the injustice that has been ravaging our society these last decades. Based on the inspiring words of the ECHO Foundation, not just words, but deeds. It always brings me joy when I meet someone with the same spirit of action to move forward, things, and make me want to learn more and combine energy with you. Therefore, I am in Charlotte to learn from you and thank for all you are doing. I also come here expecting that first we talk, then we act together to change things in our world. Creating a curriculum on the topic, justice is not negotiable, is a noble act. Indeed, genuine justice is not and will never be negotiable, no matter the location or the society. The United Nations prepared a mapping of the crimes committed in the Congo from 1993 to 2003. This violence continues today. We can't stand idly by in the face of continuous massacres perpetrated in the Congo. So far, over 6 million people have been killed. That is more than half the population of the state of North Carolina. Silence about these crimes easily become complicity. My country has almost all the natural resources you can imagine, from an amazing biodiversity in the second largest forest in the world, to gold, diamonds, cobalt used to make batteries for new electric cars, and coltan, which is used to make our telephone and video games. Instead of these riches helping the people of the Congo, they have brought us misery. Most of us in the world enjoy nice cars, jewelry, and high-tech tools and toys. Many of these items contain minerals found in my country. These minerals often are mined by young children, even younger than you. These children often are victims of intimidation and sexual violence. When you use an iPhone, when you get into a hybrid car, please take a minute to reflect on the human cost of manufacturing these objects. As consumers, we must insist that these products be manufactured with respect for human dignity. People turn a blind eye to this tragedy are being complicit. I believe it is not just perpetrators of violence who are responsible for their crimes. It's also those of us who choose to look the other way. I said choose, because yes, not looking also is a choice. My country still is being looted with the complicity of our leaders, greedy international businesses, and the indifference of the international community. It is being looted to increase their power, their wealth, and their glory, at the expense of millions of innocent men, women, and children who are exploited in their continuing extreme misery and poverty. The troubling reality is that the abundance of our natural resources is a root cause of war, rape with extreme violence, and our abject poverty. We have been caught in a spiral of crimes against humanity. Sexual violence has been used as a weapon of war against the women and girls of my country, the Congo. For the last 20 years, since I founded Panzi Hospital, we have treated tens of thousands of female victims of the barbaric violence. In 1999, I saw that rape with extreme violence was an isolated, temporary problem. Unfortunately, I was wrong. And today, the same atrocities continue. We adapted to this situation by creating a holistic care model built on 4 different pillars: the medical care, sometimes incurring complex surgeries, psychological care, economic assistance, and finally, legal assistance. We call it one-stop center because it brings together all the services needed by victims from arrival at the hospital until they return to their community and even beyond. I want to emphasize that justice is not negotiable. Justice keeps the balance in our society. We cannot give it up. I call upon all of you to stand for justice, not only in the US, but wherever injustice exists. whether it is in the Congo, Kosovo, or Colombia. It can happen in America, Asia, Africa, or Europe, even in Charlotte. We need to unite. So, what can we do? First, it is for all of us as individuals to choose to act. It is a choice. It's a choice to stop violence against girls and women, to create a positive masculinity which promotes gender equality in times of peace and times of war. It is a choice to support a girl or a woman, to decide to be a good man. It's a choice. To fight on her side in countries ravaged by conflict. It is a choice to work for peace in countries in conflict. Second, seek justice for all the victims of crimes detailed in the mapping report. I know that you read a lot about the mapping report, and it's time to seek justice for all the victims of crime against humanity detailed in this report. Third, as consumers, you can demand that the products you use are manufactured using clean and transparent supply chains. You should only buy products where it is clear that children have not been exploited and women are not used as slaves. Where it is clear that you do not have your nice products because of exploitative, corrupt arrangements that harm people in the Congo and other countries. You as consumers are crucial to making this reality. We need a strong and global movement led by students like you to obtain these necessary changes. Help us use new technology to build this movement. Just let me repeat. I firmly believe that doing the right things is not hard. It is a matter of individual choice to attain the collective will of people like you. I count on you so we can work to promote justice and dignity everywhere together so that we can all enjoy living in a better world. Thank you so much for what you are going to do after this meeting. Thank you.
It's hard to know where to begin after those remarkable words, and what a challenge and what an inspiration you have given us, Dr. Mukwege. We promise. Do we promise? Yes. We promise, yes, to follow you and to do our best. We'll conduct the student dialogue now, and we'll begin with student ambassadors. What I'd like to ask each of you, when you come to the microphone, sometimes the sound gets a little bit distorted, so it's very important that you speak clearly and slowly and loud enough into the microphone so that the sound comes this way. So student ambassadors, would you like to go to the microphones and you can begin your questions?
Dr. Mukwege. Many of us students want to become leaders and affect change, but we lack the perspective to know what to fight for. Where should we look?
Yeah, this is really a very interesting question, because sometimes we just have this impression that we can't do nothing. We have impression that I'm alone. How can I get the change happen? But I want to tell you that the most important thing is to know that the world can't change without you. And just feel that you are the one who will make this change happen. And there is no perspective without you. And I think that if you have this impression that you are the one who will make this change happen, so it can be possible because everyone can just say the same. And if we come together, there I think that there is a possibility to get a perspective and just make things happen. Inside you, there is a power, and use this power to make the things happen.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mukwege, for being here today. What role does faith play in your life and in the lives of the women that you serve in the Congo?
Yeah, I am a Christian, and I believe in one thing. If I read my Bible, I like to read about love. And it's clear in the Bible that if you are a Christian, you should love your neighbor as yourself. And for me, this is a challenge. It's not easier. But one thing is when you can, every morning when you wake up, just think that today I want to smile, to give my smile to someone. I want to show someone that his value for me. To love someone. I think that it's where really you can start to do many things and make our world better. And for me, when I'm experiencing in my hospital is terrible things to see how human can destroy others. And without faith, without to believe that I have to work for this ideal to love another as I love myself, to get compassion for another, because I know that I have the same need as myself. So I think that it's playing a big role in what I'm doing. And without faith, I think that I could just give up because I'm going through terrible stories and things in my hospital.
Thank you.
Dr. Mukwege, what are the governmental reforms you believe are the most important to help bring an end to the sexual violence in the Democratic Republic of Congo?
To end sexual violence is possible, but we need really to work on the change. It's not only the social norms, but I think that we need to work also on the masculinity. Because I think that when I started to talk about this topic 20 years ago, it was so difficult for me, and I was sometimes just crying to see that people don't understand the suffering of women, and just get the impression that it's something that can happen. But I have to say, this should not happen in the society. Because I've never seen a single woman who raped and to be normal after to be raped. And even if you can give everything to a victim of sexual violence, it's still that there is a question of dignity that they can just fight to get the dignity for all their life. So for me, we need really to change laws, and all politicians should understand that we need to fight against all the laws who are discriminatory. To get progressist laws who can support women in our society, especially laws who can bring our society to just fight against inequality. Women and men are equal, and get laws who can support this equality. Third is really for my government to work hard in education. And the education can be done everywhere, in schools, churches, in administration and so on, to educate men, to change their behavior, to see women as the second class of human. And I think that this is a way, if we fight for equality, we can change in my country, but also in other countries. And I think that in my country, we need to get leaders who can understand that we can't build Congo without women. We need women to build and develop my country. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Dr. Mukwege, where do you hope to see yourself in the Congo in 10 or 20 years, and how can we, as the United States, help you to get there?
Good. I want just to tell you my dream. As I come just to say, I'm sure that what I'm trying to do in my country is to help women so they can play the responsibility, full responsibility in the society. Because during these 20 years of war, what I could see, when men fall down, when men are completely depressed and they can't do anything because they are completely traumatized, it's always women who are taking risks to support children and to support the family as a whole. So my dream is really to see that in my country we can give more place to women and see how they can. I can even dream to get women as a president of my country. I'm sure that my country can be led in a different way. Myself, what I can see in 20 years is to see the change where women will be really playing the role that they can play to help the society to be built and get the country to be better. Thank you.
Dr. Mukwege, what do you think is needed in the DRC to change the preconceived notion that men cannot abstain?
That men cannot abstain from sex?
Yes, ma'am.
So she's suggesting that what is needed to inform men that they can abstain from sex, that it's not just everyday normal, you're entitled to it.
Yeah. As I said, I think that we need education, because the big problem in the society is when we have the social norms and everyone believe in these social norms, especially, and in many countries, to think that women are objects, so we can use them when we want to use them, and in the ways that we want to use them. And I think this is an understanding of the relation between men and women. If men can consider women as objects, so with an object you can use it as you want. But women are human, and they are equal to men. So for really to bring this discussion and being the education is just to start to talk about equality. And when you can come at this point that men understand that women are not objects, they can start to listen to them and know what they want also. Because to get sex is not only the question of men. Women can also ask sex, but they need to come together and know that we want sex both, not only men, because he thinks that women belong to him as an object. So I don't know if I really, but I think that is a question of education.
Okay, thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. Appreciate it.
Wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hello. So, foreign countries and organizations have tried
Excuse
to
me,
help.
we can't hear you. Can you speak slower and louder?
Okay. Foreign countries and organizations have tried to help stop the sexual violence problem in the DRC, and also the U.S. has tried to get involved in government office elections. So in your opinion, does the interference of other foreign countries help or hurt the DRC?
Thank you. I think that sometimes we are talking about interference of other countries, but we are not talking a lot about when this country interfere in the economic or are looting, for example, the country. We are not talking about it. I think that if a country can help to create democracy, can support to build the country, I'm very positive, because I think that we are in the globalization and we can't get only the economic globalization without, for example, to get the universality of human rights. And most of the time, I think we are talking, when it comes to talk about universality of human rights, you can see that people are more reluctant and saying, oh, why you are intervening in our matters. But when it's economic, I can say that in my country, there are very few Congolese who are exploiting my country. Most of the people who are exploiting my country are coming from abroad, but no one is talking about it. But when it comes to the democracy, there you can just hear all the politicians saying why you are intervening in our country. But I think that from my perspective, it's very important when we are talking about the globalization of the economy, we have also to talk about the universality of human rights. If America needs democracy, the right to be respected is the same in Congo. And I think that we have to work together. It's not just to get a country where leaders have impression that they have the right to do everything on their population and no one have to intervene. I think that these two things have to go together. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Mukwege, sorry, I'll talk later. What would you say to a soldier who had committed a violent act of mutilation or sexual assault if you had him here today? And is there any hope for someone who has committed these acts for reform to take them and show the world that there are people that have seen wrong in their ways and want change?
Yeah. Talking about soldiers who are committing these atrocities, I think that for my perspective, I think we have to put it at two levels. We have the soldiers who are under control of commanders, and most of the times are children who are going through the brainwashed. So after to go through this kind of terrible things, to teach them how to destroy women, because all these commanders, they know that in destroying women, you are destroying the social fabric and you are destroying the community for very long time. So they are planning to do it. And I think that all these young boys of 12 years, you give him a gun and you tell him, with this gun, you are going to get money in killing people. You are going to get women. It's not a problem. You can get it. And all these young boys are just using these guns to destroy the community, raping women, and so on. I think that for me, they are perpetrators because there is no reason to say that they are not responsible for what they are doing. They are perpetrators. But I can also consider them as victims because when they are only 12 years, 14 years, and to go through this brain washing by the adult, telling them what they have to do, they believe in adult and doing these bad things, I think that the most responsibility is on the commander who are asking them and doing it with a plan to destroy communities, to destroy women, and destroy the social fabric.
Do you think there's a way that we could take those soldiers out of that environment and teach them better ways?
There are many studies that show that when you destroy a young boy psychologically, it becomes very difficult that they can become normal. But also we know that it's not a reason to let them go on in that way. We need really to support them psychologically because they are themselves traumatized. So we need to support them for a long time, but we can't hope that they will become normal again. But we need really to support them psychologically. So we know that every time they can repeat when their memory, traumatic memory, can wake up, they can repeat this kind of actions. So we need really to make the follow-up so in the society they can't be a danger for others.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Mukwege, what is your vision for an ideal Congolese society?
Yeah. Yeah. I think we can't build really a society where people can feel that it's a better place to be if you don't have strong leaders who can have the vision, not the vision for themselves, but the vision for the entire community and try to show the community the way to follow. And my pen today is that most of the time we have leaders who are just greed and thinking only about themselves. But if we have a strong leader who can really show the way in Congo, I'm sure that in Congo we have people who have capacity to build a very good country where it can be good to live, and we have also natural resources, so it's not a question of resources, but it's a question of people. And people, most of the time, they need a leader so they can work with a leader who can show the vision to follow. And today, I'm sorry that in many fragile countries, the problem is a problem of leaders.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I would like to first say that it is truly an honor to be here standing in front of you today. In America, we're not fighting a war over minerals like you are in the Congo. We're instead fighting a war between each other, between man and women, within our own household. How can we as a country address the issues of toxic masculinity and break the societal barriers that have been put in place that perpetuate the problem that we have today?
Yeah. In my country, I have a program to fight against toxic masculinity, because I think that the way that we are educating our children, the way that we are talking to our boys, is the way that our boys will grow up, and it's the way that they will be acting in the society. And most of the time, we as parents, we have to take this responsibility. Even if women are fighting, we have many women who are feminists, for example. But when you talk, or when you can see how the women who are feminists sometimes are educating their boys, it's not really the way to help their boys to develop the positive masculinity. And for me, positive masculinity is just to say we are equal, we can help each other, and everyone has his own competence, but he can use what he has as competence to support another. But when we are educating our boys that they should not cry, they should not do this because they are boys, we are putting them on the pedestal, I don't know how you call it, yes, on the pedestal, and this is very wrong, because at the end, this toxic masculinity is growing in them, and we know that this toxic masculinity will just bring them to treat girls or women as not a human as themselves, because they are educated in this way. And I think that we need really to work in our families, to work in our societies, to try to bring this positive masculinity and just show. I know that in your country you have done a lot, and there is a lot of progress in your country. But still in the world, we have countries where girls are killed just to do abortion because it's a girl. And I think that this is terrible, to see that a woman can be pregnant and decide to do abortion because the fetus is female. And this is a kind of things to show that we don't really put female and male at the same level. And we have to fight against this, because I think that it's very dangerous for our society to be treating women like that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Mukwege, when you left the DRC in 2012 due to threats against your life, did you think you would ever return?
Please, when
you left the DRC in 2012, because did you think you would return?
Yeah, in my mind, I was sure that I leave the Congo forever. Because what happened to me at this time, I could not really realize what happened, because I was just treating patients. I was fighting for the right of women. And for me, this was a normal thing that I could do in my society to make it better. But unfortunately, some people just thought that this was not the way. And they came in my house, they took hostage my two daughters, and they killed my friend. I don't know how I escaped for this terrible situation. And for me, it was a red line. I decided to leave the country. But after 3 months, women of Congo, they start a campaign. And I can tell that they were not the women of high education, the women coming from the rural area, in the countryside. They just decide to say, we want our doctor back. They wrote letters to the president, they didn't get any answer. They wrote a letter to the Secretary General of the UN, they didn't get any answer. And at this moment, they decide, excuse me, they decide to start to sell fruits and vegetables to get my ticket back and my family. And for me, this was something I can't forget, because I know that most of these women don't have $1 per day for themselves. But they could save $50 each Friday to get my ticket and get me back. When they brought 4 times, it was $200. There I start to feel shame that how can I stay in the state in this condition? I didn't get a choice. My choice was just to go back, even if I was already said that I can't go back if people just want to kill me for what I'm doing. And I can say that for me, I was not thinking, but women decide to bring me back, and it happened. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Mukwege, I'd like to refer to the 4 pillars of the Pansy model, which are medical care, psychological care, legal assistance, and socioeconomic assistance as well. My question is, what socioeconomic strategies are provided for the survivors?
Yeah, I think talking about this model is really very important to know that women who are coming at the hospital, they have different skills. For children, most of the time under 15 years, we are supporting them to go back to school. And we have many systems where we can really help them to go to school. And today I'm so happy to see that we have, between victims we support socioeconomically, we have some of them who became lawyers, we have some of them who are anesthetic and so on. And this, I think, that is really, for me, I'm so happy and encouraged to go on in what you are doing. But we have a big number is for adults who are between 18 and 30. There we are working more to give them a new profile so they can be able to support their family and themselves. And there we have some activities as agriculture, to do small businesses, and so on. And there also, I'm so touched to see how women are able to manage, not only for themselves, but when women succeed, they're succeeding for their children. This is a priority for women, to support their children to go to school, to support their children to get education, not only education, but to feed them and so on. And now we have really many group of women who are working in what we call MUSO, it's mutual solidarity, I don't know how you call it. It's, we are bringing 25 women together to work as an enterprise so they can help each other. And I think that this model is really working very well to see that women can create themselves, their own enterprise, and support each other. Thank you.
So the goal of the socioeconomic assistance is to provide the women and future generation of children with knowledge about the current problem. Is that correct?
Yeah, we are providing also education, and maybe I should give more explanation on, in the social side, our experience is that women are rejected when economically they are very weak. But when women start to work for themselves, produce in the society, when they are able, for example, I can take an example of women who were producing soap in a village where it was very difficult for them to get soap because the soap were coming from the town. And in this village, it was the only one way to reach the village was to go by plane. So when they start to make soap in the village, the name of victim of sexual violence changed. And all the village start to call them soap makers. And at this moment, I can that in the society, they got a new identity. And it was not necessary to go on in trying to reintegrate them in the society. So for us, these two things are going together. When women are rejected most of the time, it's because, especially in my society, women are living supporting by men. So men have all the power on them because they are not producing. But when women start to produce themselves, when women start to work for themselves, so there's a dialogue between men and women can start because women have also something to put on the table and discuss about what they have on the table. And it's a way to rebuild the fabric of the society. I don't know if I answered to your question.
Yes, excellent, excellent.
Thank
Yes,
you.
Thank you very much.
Yes. Excellent. I want to meet the soap makers.
Hi, Dr. Mukwege. In what ways can we better support the victims of such, in what ways can we better support the victims of such horrific sexual trauma in the Congo?
Can you say it again a little bit louder? I can't hear you.
Sorry, yeah. In what ways can we better support the victims of such horrific sexual trauma in the Congo?
Yeah. What we are doing at the hospital is really emergency support, because when they come at the hospital, most of the time maybe they're just thinking how they can kill themselves. And we have some therapy at the hospital that we are calling that is a therapy to help quickly so women can come again in their body, because most of them when they come at the hospital, they are living in the dissociation. So you can see that most of them, they have just impressions that they don't exist as human. And in this case, the suicide is very, very high. The rate of suicide is very, very high. So we have a therapy to help them at the hospital. But we know that this therapy is not enough. So when they return back in their own village, we have associations who are working with women in their own village. And today we are working more to try to get the mental health in the system of primary care health. I don't know, but I think that this should be integrated, because most of the time we are talking only about the physical health, but not enough about mental health. And I think that we should get people who are treating victims of sexual violence, who went through trauma everywhere, not only in the special hospital taking care of victims of trauma. And this is what we are trying to do. It's very hard because it's to change all the system. Now everyone understands the medical care, and this is a primary care health care. Everyone understands it. But to tell people that we need to adapt to this, the mental health, or at all levels, it's difficult. But I think that we should do it so people can get this treatment of trauma everywhere. Thank you.
I can move on. Has your experience in the City of Joy or in the hospitals you've worked at reshaped your passion for helping victims of assault?
Yeah. I have many victims who are really interested. For example, when I said that we have victims who succeed to be lawyers, when I ask them why you become lawyer, the answer is always, I want to fight against sexual violence. I want to support victims of sexual violence. I want to dedicate my life so other women can't go through what I experienced myself. And we have also nurses. We have, I have one nurse who is working with anesthesia. And for her, when I asked her why you decide to be anesthetist, she said, I decide because when I was raped and they shoot on my genital, I suffer a lot. And she can remember that the only one time that she could feel better, it was when she was under anesthetic products. So she decides that I want to do it to support others and prevent them to suffer as myself I suffer when I was attacked.
Have these experiences changed you at all, though, personally?
Sure. I think that I'm not the same. Living with victims of sexual violence and see that in spite to work for the revenge, women are working more how they can prevent, how they can help others. They're really, myself, I'm just feeling that everyone should really reflect like that, to think that I don't need to revenge, but I want to help others to don't go through the terrible things that I experienced myself. And I think that I have full respect for women because I have the impression that most of the time they are thinking more about others than themselves.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Dr. Mukwege. My name is Meghana Kankipati, and my question for you is, what was it like for you to accept that your country, the DRC, your home, your community, needed to go through a change for the better?
What?
What was it like for you to accept that your country has to go through a big change in order to be a better country? Strange question.
Yeah. You know, I am in a country where really 20 years of war, 20 years of suffering, 20 years of indifference, because I can say that it's terrible to see what is happening in Congo. As I say in my remark, to get 6 million of people killed and to face the indifference of the international community is very hard to be Congolese. And especially when you know that people can try to talk about ethnic wars or religion wars, but in Congo it's not the case. We know who is fighting. We know why they are fighting. And it's only to fight for the greed and to get resources. And for me, it's clear that, and what I'm asking sometime when I'm talking with companies who are doing devices using these resources or minerals from Congo, I think that many people, even in this room, many people would like to pay their telephone 10% more than to get on your conscience that the telephone that I have is coming where women are destroyed, where children are used in mine and women as slaves. But the big issue is that when people decide to be indifferent, it's just terrible. And for my country, I think that the things that are making me very sad and feel that how we can bring together, how you can help us to make this change so people can understand it's possible to get a telephone maybe a little bit expensive, maybe 10% more, but to get people living in peace. And for me, for my country, really, it's what I'm wondering why this can't happen in my country. I'm wondering if I have not done enough to give information about what is happening in my country. I'm wondering why people can be indifferent. And if I could work on one question, is to bring more awareness on what is happening in Congo, because it's just terrible to bring 80 million of people in this suffering. Today, the Congolese people are living with less with $1 per day. And it's just terrible. They can't access to medical treatment. Women can't get safe obstetrical care in the country where we have everything, and we have also competencies. All many competencies of Congo are working now in Europe, in the States, just because in the country everything's collapsed and there is not a possibility to work there. So I don't know if I answer your question, but I think that for my country, really, I'm just feeling very sad to see that the world is indifferent, and this indifference is only because we want to get things cheaper.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Mukwege, do you believe that there's a possibility that the rapists in Congo are raping because they're following the only people they can look up to, which are like soldiers and high-ranking officials who are rapists? And what do you think about this?
Yeah. The way that the rape is organized in Congo, for me, is well planned, because you can't rape 300 women in a village in one night without to target them and just get this will to destroy them. And most of the time, what is happening is also when you talk with women who were raped by one armed group, you can find that the same armed group is using the same method to rape women or destroying women. So for me, it's clear that what is happening in Congo, and it's not only in Congo, I can tell you that in many countries, I travel a lot around the world, and I can see in different countries how rape is used as a weapon of war. So today we can't talk about a collateral damage of war. It's planned, it's well planned to destroy women. It's not a question of sexual, it's not a sexual question, it's a weapon. Because the way that they are raping women is not just to satisfy their need. No, it's just to destroy, and to destroy because they know that when they destroy women in a village, all the population will leave the village and they will get the control. So it's more easier to get a control on a community when you destroy women. And I have seen even women who will rape in front of their own children, or to ask the family to see how the mother is raped. And I think that to do this is not really, because for me, the goal is just to destroy not only the women, but to destroy the family, the community as a whole, so they can get control on them because they are so traumatized. Thank you.
Dr. Mukwege, in an everyday basis, there is rape and assault going on in your country. How do you emotionally deal with the trauma on an everyday basis that's affecting your life personally?
It's very hard. It's very hard because it's not only for me, but for all the staff. I can say that for the first time that I just felt that I could not go on, it was when I saw a baby of 18-month rape. I could not understand why this can happen to a baby. An innocent baby to be raped by adult, for me it was something I could not really, and I think that I spent weeks thinking that, not only thinking, but I was not able really to restart my normal work. So emotionally, it's very hard. And sometimes we as a team at the hospital, we need ourselves to get a support from therapists, because we are human. And it's not easy really to see sometimes what we are experiencing at Panzi Hospital. And I've seen even some of my staff who could not, they just give up. And they refuse to go on, for example, to taking care of patients because themselves they were so traumatized. And we try to help them with psychologists, but I know one of them who she don't want really to return to work again, even if she got the support. She is now working to do other things. So it's very hard.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Mukwege, what is one of the hardest decisions? Okay.
Louder.
What is one of the hardest decisions you've had to make when treating a patient at your hospital?
What is one of the hardest, most difficult decisions you've had to make when treating a patient?
That's good. In the hospital, we have patients who sometimes, when they are raped, they have their bladder, the rectum, and the vagina completely destroyed by sometimes shooting in or destroying it with some products, chemical products. And I think that the hard decision sometimes is to say, you are incontinent and we don't have possibility to help you. So all your life you will be linking. When you take this decision to say you are incurable for a girl of 15 years, 16 years, and look in her eyes, asking you if she will never be married, she will never get sex, she will never get children, and all these questions are coming, and you have to be frank and say it's impossible, and all your life will be linking. I think that this is sometimes very hard, just to say we can't do something for you, and they are so young. And to see them crying, I think that is very hard sometimes to give this decision.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we invite students to come to the microphone. Again, if you could keep it to about, maybe 5 or 6 at each microphone. And if you'll say your name and then ask your question, remembering to speak loudly and very slowly so we can understand you. That's plenty right now. Maybe, some of you could maybe stand over by the wall so that the students behind you can see. The teacher who's on this microphone, could you help monitor that? So if there are just 5 students in line and the others can line up over here. And here also, if we have just 5 in line and the others maybe on the wall, so that all the students that are seated, everyone who's seated can see.
Good.
And then one by one, you could maybe go around to the back and get in line. Thank you for your cooperation with this. Your questions are amazing. The answers are pretty inspired too. Let's see, I think we're on this microphone. Yes.
How do we influence this country to use a clean supply chain so we can stop benefiting off the backs of the suffering in the Congo?
How do we influence this country to stop the supply chain that benefits or that destroys your country?
Yeah, the US have a good law when it comes to the supply chain, but I think that the implementation sometimes is really a big problem. There is a law, the law is called Frank-Dodd Law Act, and I think that with this Frank-Dodd Act, if all companies could follow and try really to know exactly where the minerals are coming from, it can be possible to avoid to get minerals coming from the place where women are and children are treated as slaves or suffering for sexual violence. And that is the reason in my remark I said, I need you as students, as youth, to work on this question and use the same equipment made by these minerals to force the companies to follow the law and to do good things. It's possible, but you know that politicians are not acting if there is no pressure. So we need you. You can make a big difference because there is a law, and this law can be followed by companies who are making electric cars, telephone, and so on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Dr. Mukwege. I'm Mackenzie Chancellor from East Mecklenburg High School. And oftentimes when you see people on the news reporting these atrocities, they often shy away from using terms as genocide. And I was wondering if you believe that the DRC is undergoing genocide or has experienced acts of genocide.
You know, what is happening in Congo, I think that all the world decided to close eyes and ears. So to talk about genocide, it can be. And in the mapping report, they said that there is 3 kinds of crimes: war crimes, crimes against humanity, and maybe genocide. But it's only justice who can decide that genocide happened in Congo. But when I can see what is happening in Congo, because, for example, in Beni, the region of Beni, to kill people without any reason, just to slaughter them without any reason, I don't know how we can call it. It's not only crime against humanity, or it's not even, we can't call it war crime because they are killing people, finding them in their home. But we need the world to wake up, to stand up and just say, this is a genocide, and we all as humanity to fight against. But we need you. We need you. We need your voice. And your voice can make a big difference to just get the qualification of what is happening in Congo. Today we don't have any qualification because you decide to keep silence. Yes. But I think that tomorrow your voice will make a big difference. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Meg Wentz, and I was wondering what the hardest part day to day is in maintaining the hospital.
The day
to day, for every day, to maintain the hospital, what's the most difficult challenge?
Yeah, the challenge is really because you don't have the support from the government and the population we are treating, most of them are coming from slavery, so they are very poor that we are giving everything free of charge. So we need to work to get money to support the running cost of the hospital. This is a challenge for us. Thank you.
So in the Congo, what is the general public's as well as your own perception of the Dodd-Frank 1502 being instituted, considering it has caused economic hardships in the past?
I start to be very tired and my English is awful, so
No,
I think
it's
that
good.
if you can go slowly.
Speak more slowly with your question.
Or
Yes.
you can translate for me.
In the Congo, what is the general public's as well as your own perception of the Dodd-Frank 1502 being instituted, considering it's caused economic hardships in the past?
So she's asking your opinion of the Dodd-Frank Act and saying it has caused hardship in the past. I don't understand.
Yeah, but I think that with this Frank Dodd law, it can be, it's a help, it's a start maybe to do something good. But I think that when the population are not talking about it, I think at the end, no one is talking about this Frank Dodd law. And for me, it was a starting to try to get a control on the mine coming from this region. But as I said, we need really to work very hard and to work with you. So this law can make a big difference, not only for the population who are using the electronic equipment, but also for the population in Congo, that they can work in security and all the companies can just be a little bit carefully in buying minerals and don't buy minerals coming from people who are just raping and destroying the population.
So we have time for 2 more questions.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Kaladze from Butler High School. You've talked about how mining is one of the main issues in the Congo, and I was wondering how you think implementing Western business models would help impact the current situation with mining and the lack of organization and war that's going on.
Yeah, what we are trying to do now, I'm discussing with businessmen in the region to see, and we start already, it was a kind of meeting with businessmen, and this meeting is called Business for Peace, to see how businessmen can work to get peace in the country. Because if today we are talking about conflict minerals, it's only because we have a conflict. But if we can solve the conflict, on my perspective, there we can get mineral free of conflict, but it's still, if you have mineral free of conflict, we need also to get minerals where, even if there is no conflict, but where children are not used in the mines. And for this, we need really to bring all these small miners to work together and work under a law where they can understand that when we are minors, we need to respect women, we need to respect children, and we need really to work respecting all the laws. So all this mineral coming in the one cooperative where people know clear that they have to respect some laws, these minerals can be exported and be sure that it's clean minerals. It's what we are trying to do with businessmen in my region to work for and get this program of business for peace. And I think that the idea is really to bring people together. One is to try to fight against this conflict. Second is to put laws that women and children can't be used in a bad way. And I think that in this way, working in the cooperative where people are working together, we can get these minerals clean and transparent.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So you've talked about how changing education and social norms can help change the mindset of rapists, but if that isn't enough, are there any types of retribution or legal action taken against them?
Yeah. these two things can be done. But I think that if impunity, we don't address impunity in a country to change the social norms and education is not enough. I think that we need really to implement the laws. And in my country, we have a strong law when it comes to sexual violence. But the big problem is that the law is not implemented, and unfortunately, when you let impunity to take place, it means that even the social norms and everything that are not accepted can be done because the law is not implemented. So our fight today is to fight against impunity, because there is a law, and this law must be implemented to protect women and children.
Thank you.
So that was our last question.
That was the last question. I'm sorry if I wasn't speaking loud enough. That was the last question that we had time for. Thank you. This has been most interesting and informative. I'm so impressed with how prepared you are. And I would say, sitting here next to Dr. Mukwege and listening to you, as you leave the auditorium, within the next 5 minutes, 3 things that you can do immediately. Boycott the companies that are not clean in terms of how they're getting minerals and using them, number 1. Number 2, write your Congress people. And number 3, use your voice against indifference. Thank you so much for this wonderful experience.
Thank you so much. You wrap up very well.
I wrapped up.
Thank you. Thank you.